Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Founders Friday. This is your girl, Vilavanh, founder and CEO of Innovation City. And I'm here today with the lovely, the amazing, the talented, the awe-inspiring founder, CEO, entrepreneur, investor, Silvia Mah.
Thanks for having me, Vilavanh.
Thank you. Silvia is actually one of our investors, and she is amazing. A powerhouse woman, really making it happen for women, minority entrepreneurs, talking the talk and walking the walk. Tell us about yourself, Silvia.
Oh my gosh, where do I start? Like, you're like, tell me about it. I'm like, okay, where do I start? So yeah, it's just an honor to be here with you. I'm really supporting you who are online, because it is really important for investors to sit down next to their portfolio companies, supporting them, putting money down, putting expertise down, and putting our networks down. So that's kind of like me in a nutshell, let's say, as an investor and also as an entrepreneur, knowing what it means to like sell and make sure your marketing is right and making sure that your products are okay. All of those things, I've been there and done that as well. So
yeah, you have done so much. So you're the founder of Ad Astra.
Yes.
An investment group. You're also the founder of Stella
Yes.
Yes. So you've gone through this entire entrepreneur journey yourself.
Yes. Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, because those types of things, Ad Astra Ventures is a venture group with two other ladies, as you said, Allison Long-Patine and Vidya Dinamani. We were three investors doing it all ourselves, like investing on our own. And we basically, I was always investing in women and people of color, period. I think it's a better business decision. We can talk about that later, right? But it's a good business decision. But they were kind of saying, looking at their portfolio, saying, we needed to make a difference. We want to invest in more women. I'm like, I'm your girl to help you out doing that. So we joined forces and said, okay, how do we truly make impact in the world through a gender lens to get to even? Yep. So getting to even is that we don't have enough female representation across the venture table.
Absolutely.
From the entrepreneurial side and the investor side. So we're about 24% at the angel round, so that's about seed round. So that's what we wanted to kind of hone in on. And then Stella, I started that about 10 years ago now, and Stella is now a network of entrepreneurs and investors to grow together, to be engaged, to be educated, so that we do have a really thriving female gender network out there. So Stella Labs, that you said, is our business accelerator for female entrepreneurs, because again, we want to sit down next to you.
Absolutely.
We want you to thrive. We want you to launch. We want you to scale. We want to help you in all those things, pitch to wonderful investors. But what kind of investors are out there? There should be female investors that are interested in mentoring you and in advising you. So that's part of Stella Angels, and allowing us to really have a really great network to be able to have the deals going on, to invest in each other, and also syndicate with the right angel investors. So syndication is just that you co-invest with another investor. So really great things on Stella. And then throughout the time, you know, as an ecosystem builder, you are an amazing ecosystem builder, right?
Learn from the best.
No. As an entrepreneur, you can be an ecosystem builder because you're talking to your customers, you're talking to people that can actually get things done in your business, you're talking to investors that are investing in you. Well, as women, we're so relational, then let's make sure that you can connect another entrepreneur with the investor that was awesome for you, right? So that whole network of support is super important.
And I think that's critical and key. And I will say that I've gone through the whole Stella Labs accelerator myself, Innovation City as a whole. It was amazing. You not only put your money where your mouth is, but she accelerates every single one of her portfolio companies. And it is amazing. The level of support that you feel as a woman founder that Silvia provides is hands down one of the best, through and through, regardless of whatever stage we are at as an organization. Silvia is one of those investors that will double down each and every single time, which is amazing, especially as a woman founder and CEO.
Yeah.
There's so many companies and organizations that you've helped throughout this entire process.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
So as an investor, I've invested in 120 plus companies that are female-led and BIPOC-led. And I've invested also in 11 fund managers, emerging fund managers. So that means that a fund manager who's one of my colleagues that are doing great work, she or he is an underrepresented or underestimated leader in their ecosystem. They want to become a fund manager, and that is a scary thing. We've had 7 exits, 1 IPO and 1 SPAC in my portfolio, and you can find all of that on sheinvest.com, because we're really trying to make sure that all of the founders like yourself and others that are part of my portfolio really get that support, not only from me, but making sure that we're really connecting the dots, because you never know who's going to help each other out. Because I feel like sometimes you're like, oh, I need an investor to advise me and mentor me. But don't forget about your colleagues, right? The other entrepreneurs that are talking to their network, right? And you can get connected by that. So that's the hope of really amplifying what we do at She Invests, with the portfolios that we serve, the investors that we co-invest in, and the amplification of investor voices through our podcast and our leadership kind of piece of being a servant leader.
Let's talk about impact.
Hey.
Because you have done so much in terms of impact, like hands down. What made you really kind of invest and put your money down in so many women, so many entrepreneurs, and be there through and through and through each and every single time?
Great question. I was challenged with this question when I did my TEDx talk at Chula Vista, because I was training to do this wonderful talk of Get to Even. We want to get equal representation of women across the venture table, and the data shows this, because I'm a scientist, I'm a PhD in biochemistry, so yes, I'm like, data is queen, right? And research is queen, and making sure that we understand that it's not just emotional people, it's really data driven, that women are better leaders. Diverse people and teams are better teams. They outperform their counterparts in every single aspect. There's tons of data out there. So I was really data driven on this TEDx talk. I'm like, okay, data, okay, let's this. It's about trust, right? And then the person that was training me to do this talk said, but why? Like, you asked, why? So I started typing, and then I started bawling, because I was like, oh, now I know. You know, I was born and raised in Caracas, Venezuela. Right? And so I came here to the United States as a 17-year-old girl, like by myself. And then of course, on a very personal level, my sister's special needs, right? So the day I was born, I had to advocate for my sister.
Right.
All of that was so, wow. I didn't know that all was in me, when, like, the reason why I'm such a lion, right? When it comes to supporting, advocating, bringing voices to the underrepresented and underserved. Because I was one, and I feel it around me in so many different ways, right? So that's the reason why, on a very emotional level, is why I do what I do, right? Is to support the entrepreneurs like you, and so many others that deserve the support and opportunity that everybody else has. We want to make sure that we level the playing field, or lift the boats, whatever you want to call it, making sure that we really support you.
And that is impact, right?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, still.
Yeah, we haven't gone in there yet to be like all, and what do we do now? It's like we're still like, and pound the pavement. So that's the deal.
Someone's got to do the hard work.
Yeah, for sure.
You're literally opening so many doors for women, minorities, people that, you're right, haven't had these conversations at the dinner table.
No.
What do you do, whether it's today or whether in the future, to really kind of help educate us in that process?
Yeah, and for entrepreneurs, I think you want to go into that realm now. Really, for entrepreneurs, it's finding mentors, advisors that allow you to be a woman, or a woman of color, or a mom that's creating something crazy awesome, or even like a military spouse, doing something that's particularly towards the customer that nobody else understands except you, right? Who's probably a customer who's been underserved, but a market that's huge, right? Because it's never been tapped, right? So throughout all the patterns that investors are seeing that markets are good, tell your story. So that's one thing as an entrepreneur. Sometimes the entrepreneurs that I work with a lot is more of like, what am I doing wrong? And I flip it saying, what are you doing right? And let's focus on your strengths and promote those strengths. Instead of saying, I need to fit into a formula that has been created by men, right, that I need to fit into. You have to be aware of those equations, but you have to also be authentically you, or else you're going to be asked every single time you meet with somebody else, fit my pattern, fit my pattern. But if you say, hey, I'm aware of the general pattern,
Right.
and I am filling that with my company and the market that I know I can sell into, nobody's going to question you.
Absolutely.
Everybody's like, yes, you have it right, right? Instead of
Mhm.
saying, wow, let's do some analysis of this market. You're like, I have done it, right? You say, I have done it. I've done everything. Because usually women, right, we overcompensate.
Yep.
You do have to do your work, right? You have
Absolutely.
to do your research. You have to do your homework. You have to do everything that you can do to be aware and educated and equipped. But you show up the way that you need to show up.
Being authentic.
Yeah.
And being you.
Yeah.
I think that's critical and key, especially when you enter into these spaces.
Yeah.
And have these conversations. You've done so much work
Yeah.
with some amazing women and invested in so many founders.
Like you!
Yay! the entire aspects of the portfolio companies that you have invested in before, they range across a variety of different industries.
Yes.
What are the characteristics of a founder that you invest in?
Well, you. So, but your qualities are very similar to a lot of the qualities that are in my portfolio. And again, industry specific, you have to have different qualities too. So you have to kind of match that. So that
Right.
founder market fit is equally as important to just the founder investor fit. So I would say for me, I need my founders to be gritty, determined, passionate about what they're doing. I want them to be able to say, like, no matter what happens, I'm gonna do this until the day I die because I love it so much, right? And again, it's very hard to say that because I know a lot of founders are like, but I'm passionate, like I'm determined, I'm gritty, and why are you not funding me? I get that a lot, right? And I'm like, but how does that connect with the companies that you're building, the customers that you're serving, and the market that you're selling into? Right? That all has to kind of make sense with this passion. So those are the kind of little things that I see as a portfolio founder.
That's amazing. There's so many nuggets and tips and tricks that you provided. Are there any other suggestions that you would have to founders as they go through their entire journey to get to yes?
Oh yeah, that's a hard one. I'm gonna take two approaches. One is very personal, very like developing of yourself. And the other one is just making sure that you're set up for success, right? Because it's unfortunately entrepreneurs have two parts of their brain. They have to like be on fire at all times, right? The relational, the emotional side of your brain and the data-driven, analytical side. You have to have both of them as an entrepreneur at some level. You might be better in another one or not, but you have to, as a founder and CEO and driver of this company, you have to have that kind of double-sided thing. So the emotional part is making sure that you are empowering yourself, that you're authentically you, right? And if you don't have that, find somebody that you can, like, let's say, meet, even if it is a colleague or a mentor or an advisor. And if you're always constantly hearing, like, you're not showing up, like there's something missing, you might have to do what I just talked about in my TEDx talk, open up a Google Doc and just like pour your heart out and cry. And get it over with and see like, why is it that you're doing this? And then the other side of the brain is get your stuff together. That is like my two, let's say pieces of advice that we haven't talked about yet.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're gonna have to have you back.
Anytime.
We have to unpack a lot more after this.
Yes, so many things. Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, we will catch you guys next week on the next episode of Founders Friday.